What's up, everyone? NFL Week 11 is nigh, and we are back to break it all down. Tournament strategies with the GOATs, the duo GOATs. We got Burns, the Millie Maker specialist himself.
What's up, guys?
And, of course, Bobby Millions, Bobby Moneybags, multi-time Millie Maker winner himself. Pockets so fat, he's got to wear cargo pants just to carry all those ducats around. BobbyWow. So we're here to talk about NFL. Wait, I got to do one of these.
Wow.
That's for BobbyWow. And we're here to talk about NFL Week 11 plays, tournament plays, strategies, and all that. We've talked about week 10 quite a bit. I don't even want to look back on it. I want to move forward. I want to look forward. And we have another week where a lot of these games feature pretty heavy favored teams. There aren't a ton of really close games, so we're going to have to address a little bit of that and just kind of navigate our way through another really interesting slate. And they're all interesting. They're all fun. They're all interesting. So let's jump right into it, guys. And I'm going to bring up the old Domination Station Optimizer, the game tiles. And let's just go through it here a little bit. And BobbyWow, what are you looking at this week at the QB position in terms of stacks? Give me some names that are popping out for you, especially just across the board with this lack of, smash high scoring like competitive games, but rather a lot of high team totals that might be interesting to target.
Yeah, I think, right off the bat, the Bears-Lions game stands out as really juicy for fantasy points. I love that. Of course, I love it. But Justin Fields is coming back. He's fully healthy. He probably could have played 10 days ago. So we're getting, 100% healthy Justin Fields, and that's a great thing for fantasy purposes. I love Jared Goff as well. Both teams have struggled against the pass a little bit. So I love stacks in that game on both sides. And then, Cardinals-Texans, I think Kyler Murray looked good. I think there's some momentum there. He led that team to a crazy win, and obviously CJ Stroud has been really good throughout the season. So that's the second game I'm primarily stacking big time. Both sides of that game as well.
Yeah, no, I like it. Listen, CJ Stroud has been just somebody to target all season long, and I believe that Nico Collins is now marked healthy. Noah Brown is out in that game, so we're getting a little bit of clarity on the wide receiver group there. How about you, Burns? Any games just popping off for you that really are jumping off the screen like that is the one I want a piece of?
I mean, Bobby hit the two really good games. So outside of those two games, I wouldn't really say that they're like game stacks by any stretch, but you could target certain stacks in these games. San Francisco with Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay's not been very good against pass. So fire up Brock Purdy at all there. Also, Tua is in play this week. I don't really like his salary, but he is in play with a stack with Tyreek. In this one, you can just do a one-man stack with him. CJ Stroud's in a great spot. I love Goff this week. Those are some pretty good stacks there. I like the Kyler Murray play if you're looking for an underdog on the road against the Houston Texans. And I don't mind the Seattle Los Angeles Rams game either. I mean, you can do a pretty good, nice game stack there if you think that game is going to actually go to the over and shoot out this week. So, and Matt Stafford will be back in that game. So, fire up Cooper Kupp on all cylinders here.
Yeah, love me some Kupp. I've loaded up the Domination Station on screen, if you guys can see, and I've sorted the QB position by ownership, right? So just to get a feel for like what's going on this week. And again, as usual, a little surprising. I'm always a little surprised on Friday when I kind of first start taking a look at the ownerships. I try not to look too much at ownerships as I'm doing my breakdowns throughout the week. Just don't want to get overly skewed by anything. And a lot of times this is the show where I'm first really kind of looking at it. And Jared Goff, top guy. Dak Prescott, not shocking. considering what he's been doing the last few weeks. And, people want to get on board the bandwagon there. Brock Purdy, kind of an interesting one, I would say. But, Tampa's been a team to attack with opposing QBs all season long. So kind of get it. There's Kyler, Geno, Stroud. Anything stand out about this for you guys? Just like for me, what's standing out is kind of like there's not really a lot of separation here between these names. You're not seeing like one really truly go crazy against the other ones. But any surprises here for you, BobbyWow?
I don't know. I think, Dak is intriguing just because the Panthers have been so good against the pass. So like to see Dak, as pricey as he is, going to be pushing 10% ownership. That's a little bit surprising to me. I know he's been hot. I get that, but man, that could be a spot to go underweight.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you mentioned Dak. I'll give a little bit of technical here. So they've been tearing up man coverage the last few weeks, and especially CeeDee Lamb has been facing a lot of man coverage. The Panthers play a different style. Number one, the Panthers are limiting wide receivers to 60 fewer yards per game than their average expectation. So the Panthers have literally been the second best team in the league at limiting wide receiver production. But the reason why they're able to do that is because they play a heavy zone and they're dropping an extra player back into coverage. Their game plan has been to force the opponent to run the football, give such run favorable looks that it effectively makes your opponent. And their reasoning is, let's slow the game down. We're not equipped to score quickly here. So we got to kind of slow our opponent down and just maybe try to hang around and make it close and do a little something at the end. So there's a technical reason why the Panthers are not allowing a lot of passing yards per game. So again, I'm at this point I'm shell shocked. I'm too scared to tell people to fade Dak or to really fade him. Like, I'm shell shocked, but I'm going to share that info that okay, that is the number one or number two in the league defense against the pass. And not because they have this amazing personnel. There's no brand name cornerback that you need to really think overly too much about. It's really just been that they're dropping an extra man into coverage. And so they're just forcing you to run the football, which might bode well for the very hated Tony Pollard. I don't know about that one, but I'm not shocked here by what I'm seeing in the ownerships. Burns, how about you? Anything here kind of stand out as, hey, that's a surprise?
No, there's nothing really surprising here. I had a feeling Goff was going to be up there as one of the higher owned quarterbacks on the slate. He's home. He's facing Chicago's defense. So, I saw that one coming. Guy I do have a good amount of love on is probably Trevor Lawrence against Tennessee this week. It's actually kind of interesting that he's going to be under 6% ownership right now. I actually could see that around 5%, pushing 7, in between the 5 and the 7% ownership. So that's probably some good leverage to get on the field this week, and if you're MMEing this week, so keep him in your player pool for sure.
I'm going to say this, and number one, I think that Trevor Lawrence is a great call, but I'm going to put it out there because I'm a little biased. But is it a little surprising to see Justin Fields' ownership as low as it is, given his upside?
I think because of the coming off the injury, but Kev, if you got something different, that's probably what's keeping his ownership low. But
no, you just nailed it. It's the injury. And by the way, the Lions defense is really good. They're a good defense, and I don't think good defenses matter that much against running QBs, but they are a good defensive team. But yeah, it's just familiarity. There's just this has his hand truly recovered? Can he throw a football? But if he can, I think that whole Bears offense. I was literally waiting for you. Me and Burns addressed Fields on the Shark Lab show, but I was like, I'm just waiting for BobbyWow to come in here and let me know what to do here. So I am going to now not worry about the ownership, but I want to throw it to you and say, should we be playing Jay Fiddles this week? And should I be stacking them up? And who with? You're the expert on the Bears.
Justin Fields has torched the Lions recently as a runner. So you want to talk about a guy with a floor? Fields I think he's run for almost 300 yards over the last 2 games against the Lions. So I think, he's really, really intriguing. He's under 7K, which is lower than where we'd see him. Obviously, the injury plays a role in that. But he's also got a stacking partner in DJ Moore. Before Fields got hurt, DJ Moore was his top target. It felt like, the two had finally started clicking. So I think this is a great spot for Justin Fields. Obviously, I'm biased, okay? But I really do think the ingredients are there for a big game.
Do you think double stacking with him and Kmet, Moore, Kmet, Fields, that's the best way to go in this one?
It's hard for me to double stack Fields if I'm looking at his rushing upside. So I don't know. I find myself getting more of Fields, DJ Moore, some Fields, Kmet as well. Not as many double stacks.
I'm okay with the doubles. As long as you're bringing it back at that point with pieces from the line. So I think what I love about the double stack with Fields is that those 2 players that you're stacking him with are super inexpensive. We're not paying up for DJ Moore. We're actually getting a significant discount because he's coming off of teabag, at the QB for the last few weeks. And we're getting Cole Kmet the usual price, but maybe a little lower than what he'd been at peak, like Justin Fields. So you're getting a bit of a discount there. I don't mind the double in those scenarios, but I do want to bring it back with Amon-Ra or one of those running backs or even Laporta, whatever. I do want to piece back here because that game does have that potential to sort of hit the nuclear level.
Right.
There's only so many games this week that have that potential outcome. The other one, it's one that you guys mentioned, but I think the other nuclear possibility, not saying it's going to happen, is Texans, Cardinals. Those are the 2 that are like, okay, this could do it. Looking at these QBs now and just your individual approach this week, guys. So we'll now take it back to, we talked a little bit about, ownership, and we're seeing this. There's actually a really interesting question here. I want to address this actually. So Andrew is saying he normally avoids players like Keenan Allen last week because he's really expensive and he's concerned they're not going to pay off and give you enough. And then he's asking, how do you know when they're a good play? Is it an ownership thing? So I'm going to just, rather than answer it myself, I want to see what you guys have to say there. I have thoughts on it, but Burns, last week you were early in the week kind of off of Allen, and then by the time we got around to this show, you're like, no, I got to get on Keenan Allen here, right? How are you making that call?
It was purely an ownership call for me on Keenan Allen. I saw that Detroit could actually be susceptible to the pass over the middle of the field, which they were in this game. But it was also because of the fact that the wide receivers for the Los Angeles Chargers were dwindling. It was basically just Allen and Guyton and Eckler. And Detroit's a very good defense against the run. So that actually mitigated Eckler in the game for me versus actually going higher in the ownership on him personally in my own player pool. So therefore, I just allowed, what I did was I lowered my ownership to and capped ownership on Chase because of the injury to his back in Joe Burrow last week. And that forced up Keenan Allen in all my runs on the domination station. And it was actually to the benefit because Keenan Allen just exploded last week.
I did something similar with Chase, and that was a little reason why I was getting a lot more Keenan Allen than I initially thought I would as well. And it was a similar thing. When we all kind of made a group decision, I'm not sure if it was during the Players Club or in my channel in the Discord, after the Chase sort of back stuff was floating out, I was kind of like, you know what? This seems like a really good time to just like only play Chase with Burrow and contain the potential damage of a bad game for Chase. You know, I don't want that. I don't want the shrapnel to hit my other lineups and destroy things that aren't tied into Burrow. So that just forced a little more either Allen or Lamb, and Lamb was just not projecting as well as Keenan Allen in that spot. So in the end, actually, Allen outscored CeeDee Lamb, but you needed them both if you were going to make any money last week. BobbyWow, any focal point QB wide receiver stacks this week that you're looking at that we sort of didn't address in the early stages of this discussion? Brock Purdy, Geno's looking like a high owned guy. He's had one game this year where it would have paid off on the salary, so I guess that's okay. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, if I'm looking outside of those couple guys we mentioned, I think, Fields, Goff, Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud, and Lawrence, I think maybe looking to punt at quarterback. I think guys like Will Levis is in an interesting potential bounce back spot. And he's stackable with one guy essentially. So that makes it nice and easy, even at if you're only getting 5% of him. The other
last
guy
time you mentioned Levis, it was a really good thing.
It worked out all right. We'll see what happens. Yeah. He's cheap enough to where it's intriguing. And the Jaguars have been brutal against the pass. And if any game's going to go over in one of those lower total games, I think it would be this one. The other guy that I'm a little bit intrigued by, if we're talking punts, is DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. The guy is a runner. He's min price. And I think he's going to be running all over the field. So basement guy, I think he's got a decent floor. And again, if you're looking to punt, which I won't be much, he's potentially on the table.
It's not super exciting play, but neither was Will Levis when he was 4,500 that week. And if you didn't play him, you didn't win the Millie Maker that week. So I'm not going to shit on that call too hard because you never know. Burns, how about you?
I don't know if I would go lower. I'm going to go higher with this one. I think a guy that's going way overlooked in this slate, and he has actually broken a lot of slates of years past, and he could do it again here at home, is Josh Allen. He is the only guy that I could see that is around that 7K range, 8K, that could actually take the top off of this New York defense. They play him twice a year. They already played him earlier in the season. He didn't look good. He's going to be out there for blood against them again because they beat him in the game one of the season. So I could see, him with Dalton Kincaid, Stefan Diggs stack that would actually be really low owned in this week. Seeing that he's only 4.4% ownership, you get him and he blows up for 35 points. Man, you're scaling the leaderboards early.
Tough matchup for him, but Josh Allen is on my you always got to play a couple shares because he's it doesn't matter what the opponent is, what the matchup is. He always has that 30 plus point upside in him. I want to address a couple things I'm seeing in the comments here, and I'm going to give my take on a couple of these spots. But the first one is somebody mentioned Howell. I dived into Sam Howell, and he's had a lot of big games this year. But again, every single one of those situations was a high-scoring game on both sides of the football. So we just don't know what the Commanders will do in a situation like against the Giants when their opponent can't score. And I think, again, this didn't work with the Cowboys last week, but I don't think that they're going to be passing 40, 45 times in a game against the Giants. Our model absolutely has a bet out right now on under 260 yards for Sam Howell in terms of passing yards in that game. I will be taking that bet because I think this is a down game for Howell in terms of his passing production. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it's 50-50 shots, but they have not, he hasn't had a good game where it wasn't competitive and the other team wasn't scoring. So if you look at his results, they are all those kind of back and forth games. The other thing I wanted to address here, I saw a second one. Mateo, I think it was in the chat, was talking about Will Levis. And I'm still trying to figure out what happened with Will Levis last week. And by that, I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but Will Levis spiked in ownership in the actual contest to the point where I believe he was 11% owned as a QB in the Millie Maker, effectively the second highest owned QB. I'm trying to figure out why that happened. And I still, so some people here are talking about Levis. I saw a couple of people literally talking about, oh, Levis disappointment. What got you onto Levis last week? Why did he spike to 11%? Was somebody out there pushing? Like, what happened? And do you guys have a thought on this? BobbyWow, why did Levis go to 11% last week? He's Will Levis. He hasn't looked good. What happened?
That's a great question. Probably a combination of price and matchup. The Bucks have been really poor against the pass. So maybe people just trying to squeeze some value out of Levis. But man, honestly, that's not reason enough. So I'm not really sure.
You don't know. Yeah, I was very surprised. And it's just matchup. I get it. But like, there's a lot of people who have good matchups and they don't spike in ownership like Will Levis did last week out of nowhere. Burns, you don't any thought on that? Or are you kind of on the same place of, I don't know?
I have no idea. I had no ownership in that guy whatsoever.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me. I was like,
I was on the defense. I was on Tennessee defense.
Yeah,
I was on
right.
Tampa Bay defense. Yeah. So no ownership in that game whatsoever other than defenses.
Never occurred to me to use Levis. I don't get it. I wouldn't play him this way. I mean, BobbyWow just mentioned him, so now I'm going to play a little bit. But beyond that, I wasn't playing him this week either. I don't think he's good. But, that was kind of weird. Want to shout out Brian Spataro. I believe he is in Miami.
No, he's doing it from home.
What?
They're allowing you to do it from home now.
Wait, what's the fun of getting in the King of the Beach?
Oh, heck yeah.
And not going to it. It's probably the best.
That might be more fun.
They're allowing you to do it from home. So if you can't make it, because Brian actually can't make it.
Oh, what a bummer.
You can actually go and do it from home. So that's pretty cool. And you keep all the money for the airfare.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
There are cool events when you go to King of the Beach. That is, they actually do some cool shit that would be nice to go to. But, so he's not even there. So.
But congrats to him, though, for making it.
Congrats for making it, but not for not going. All right. So, well, what am I going to say? All right. So, yeah, I can't see any other super low owned quarterbacks that you guys are like, hey, I'm going to get on that. I mean, you mentioned a couple, BobbyWow. Burns, nothing for you down here. Like, jump on some Jordan Love out of nowhere. Maybe Herbert at the Packers. Zach Milson, just for shits and gigs.
That game was in Los Angeles. That Green Bay game was in Los Angeles. I'd be on Herbert, but not going into Green Bay.
You know where I thought Burns was going to go? I thought for sure we'd get a Matt Stafford mention out of Burnsy today.
No.
I like Kupp. I do like Kupp in that game, but I'm not on Stafford now.
I'd unfriend you. That's not how it works.
No.
I'm not on Stafford at all this week. I really like Kupp though. I think his salary is at 8,100. It's the lowest we've seen in a good amount of time. He's got a good rapport with Stafford, but I just don't think Stafford can get you there with the production that he's done this year. It's just not. It's underwhelming. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I like Kupp as well, but Matt Stafford, you've got to be able to get like a 20 plus over the last 2 or 3 seasons for me to want. I don't understand why DraftKings just keeps jacking up his salary. Like, are people playing Matt Stafford? Who's out there pushing Matt Stafford this week? Let us know in the comments if there's somebody out there pushing Matt Stafford. And of course, on that mention, hit that like button, subscribe, share, whatever the YouTube algorithm needs for you to do. For positivity of this video, we're going to try to keep it ad-free. We've been doing that the last few weeks. You guys have been rewarding us with those likes and whatever. So keep doing it, and we'll turn off the monetization at least for the live version. Might turn it on later. Let's see how many likes we get. But I know everybody appreciates that. So there we go. Let's jump over to we'll go running back before we talk wide receiver. Let's talk running back here. And once again, I've got the domination station sorted by ownership. This is Friday ownership. It changes each day, each week, and sentiments change, but I've got it sorted here. And once again, I'm always a little surprised by some of these ownerships. Right off the bat, I mean, like Austin Eckler is one of my favorite plays this weekend, and he's not really at the top of the list. He's kind of low. Devin Singletary, D Sizzles, no Damian Pierce. I love Singletary here. I don't get it. why wouldn't he be the highest owned? Connor, pretty good too. So yeah, I'm seeing some interesting stuff going on here in the ownerships, but I'll start again with you, BobbyWow. Running back this week, what's your approach? Are you paying up? Are you paying down? And who do you like? Let's start with the high up expensive category. Who are you targeting here in this, 9K to, let's call it 7K, right? There's only 4, 5, 6 names, but in the stud zone. Anybody pop for you?
Yeah, I'm paying up in one spot here, and it's going to happen pretty often, and that's Austin Eckler.
Eckler.
Okay. Running backs have been tearing up the Packers, and Eckler below 9K, pass catching running backs, and just straight running backs. I think Najee Harris and Jalen Warren tore up the Packers last week, so I think Eckler's got a path to 40 fantasy points in this game. He's going to be my pay up.
Yeah, it's not a Keenan Allen week; it's an Austin Eckler week. IMHO. But in this group, you like how I threw in the IMHO? I don't know where these things come from. I have no idea. They just come. So beyond Eckler, anybody else in this sort of expensive category that really is somebody you're going to go out of your way to play?
Not for me. I mean, I think you can make the argument for ETN just given the volume, but yeah, I think Eckler's my pay up, and I kind of want to go, mid-level or even pay down with the other spot.
I like that approach as well. I think, exactly. ETN is sort of kind of acceptable, and maybe Jahmyr Gibbs in like a crazy tournament, but maybe not. But yeah, that's about a really good approach. How about you, Burns?
Oh yeah, I'm all over Eckler this week. Yeah. We talked about him last night. He's in such a great matchup against the Packers this week. He's my guy. He's the flag plant.
Totally agree. All right, so moving down from there, there's a couple of names I don't like. So, for example, I specifically don't think I'm going to be playing much Raheem Mostert at 6,900 this week. The return of Achane really just kind of ruins both of them for me. Similar to how Gibbs and Montgomery, even though they both did okay last week, neither one of them were somebody that if I didn't play them, I wasn't winning the tournament type returns, right? They did okay. They had a great game, but this is a less good matchup for Gibbs and Montgomery. And then with the Mostert and Achane thing, it's a great matchup. You can't ask for much better, but I just don't trust the volume. I need a little more volume than that. So let's jump down to the second layer, because there are some names popping in ownership now. And again, I think this will change, but the big guy in this zone. So I'm just going to mention the names that really stand out to me. Let's call it from the 7K down to, let's say, 6K, which there's a lot of players here. So in this zone, I'm seeing the pops for me are Jacobs, Pollard. Really, that's about it in terms of people I want to play. And maybe Kenny Walker. Kenny Walker is concerning for me because he really needs probably 2 touchdowns to get there. He's not really active in the passing game for the Seahawks. Pollard is concerning for me because it's the greatest matchup you are ever going to see for a fucking running back that will ever happen in the history of the NFL. And yet somehow Dallas is just going to be throwing and only hand it to him 7 times. So that's concerning. And Josh Jacobs being an underdog is never fun. What do you think, BobbyWow? Am I off on this group? Is there somebody else that pops? And can you convince me on any of these 3 guys that you should just don't worry about it, roll it out?
No, I think you're right on. I mean, Tony Pollard, I'm willing to get burned by him again. His price has come down. The matchup is great. And the Cowboys know they need to get him back on track. So at some point, the Pollard week is coming. I'm willing to take a chance and say it's this one. But otherwise, yeah, I think you're right across the board.
Burns, Breece Hall projecting pretty high. I'm not a big, I don't know if I love this spot for him, but I've had a hard time with Bills games this year in general. I'm just having a hard time reading that team. I don't know. You ever got a block on a team? I just have a block with the Bills. I keep thinking they're going to win. I keep thinking they're good, and they keep proving me wrong. So I don't know. It's the Jets. It's just, I need to recuse myself.
Yeah, I mean, I like Brees Hall earlier in the week. As the week's gone along, I'm like, there's more running backs that are popping up below him that are better. That I feel are better. Not too much further down below him is Aaron Jones, who's better than he's got a better matchup. Even below him, I'm going to be right back on B. Rob Jr. this week. He's got another great matchup against the Giants. Thibodeau he's out for the year. That weakens the Giants defense much further on the defensive front. So Brian Robinson, and we get Antonio Gibson, who is probably going to be out this week. Man, we are talking about Brian Robinson, full workload, nobody else there. There's a guy behind Antonio Gibson, but don't worry about that. It's B. Rob Jr.'s week.
I absolutely love that call. B. Rob with no Gibson against the Giants should be fire, and it will negate some of the Sam Howell chalk. Not really chalk, but some of that Sam Howell ownership, as it will leverage against a little bit of that, if we can call that leverage. Aaron Jones, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can back it. I think I hate Aaron Jones as an NFL player. The volume's never there.
I've been on him a couple of weeks, and he's faltered. I don't know. I can't ever get him right. He's like my guy that I can't get right.
I think it's because it's almost always wrong. It's not your fault.
Don't hate Jones. Hate the Packers. It's their fault.
Yeah,
that's fair. I just hate the volume. I don't hate the player. I hate the game.
Hate the scheme.
That's right. I got him for everything. Just stick with me. More are coming. So, Brian Robinson, no good. Devin Singletary, though, muy bueno. No Damian Pierce this week. You know how many touches this guy had last week? 30 carries. So, Devin Singletary, D-Sizzles, not like somebody that you're excited about, but 5,300, 30 touches last week, a little passing game usage on occasion. I love Singletary here. I'm comfortable. I think if you start your lineup with Eckler and Singletary, Brian Robinson in the flex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of firepower right there. And you're not even taking ownership. Like, these guys aren't like 20, 30% owned. There's nothing like that going on here that concerns me. The highest owned guy, BobbyWow, is Jimmy Connor. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm just like, yeah, all right.
He's my nemesis. We all got our nemesis here, the running backs.
Is that a nemesis for you?
Yes.
I don't mind Jimmy Connors at all. I don't mind him. The Terminator. I wish he caught some passes last week. Would have made me feel a little more comfortable. But he's getting that volume.
Yeah, he is.
No worries.
I'm not playing him, so maybe it's the week to play him.
I don't. If you're not going to play him, I'm not going to play him. I'm not doing that. We're not doing this here. We either convince each other, yes or no. We're a band of brothers. We go in together, we come out together, or we don't come out at all.
I love it. I'm
gonna play some Connor. I don't agree that you should not play him, but I do think that the other names that we mentioned, and I love the Brian Robinson Jr. call, Burns. This ownership's going to change. I don't buy it. But if this were true, and I don't know how much the people who are watching can actually see, because for whatever reason, these videos are fuzzy. I can't get that figured out. Guys, how's the picture, by the way? I changed the latency to the higher one so that people can hopefully see the screen better. But Brian Robinson showing at 3.5% ownership. If that holds, that's just great leverage off of 16% Connor. Let's play this guy. It's just as good, or better.
Better, yeah.
I'm off of Rashad White as well this week. I like that he's a little chalky. I'm not a big play running backs at San Francisco guy. I don't know about you guys.
Nope.
Yeah, that's not a big part of my process. Like just loading up on players at San Francisco. But I will say, yesterday, Joe Mixon at the Ravens, I wouldn't have been on that either. And he did his thing. So you never know. Good. Oh, picture looks good. Oh, okay. Ooh, wow. All right. Love to hear that. Picture looks good. Hit that like button if you like that picture. See, turned it into a like situation. All right. So after that group, Bobby, any guys that I haven't addressed that we haven't addressed that's sort of in your RB player pool this week? Somebody that maybe is a little under the radar. We weren't thinking of him. Chuba Hubbard here at 9%.
I'll never play Chuba Hubbard at 9%. Not a chance.
What? Where do these numbers
horrible.
come from? Who's doing this?
Chuba I feel like he was up there last week too. That guy stinks, man. Gosh, unreal. I think the one guy that I'll be paying attention to a little bit is Khalil Herbert if Deonta Foreman doesn't play. I think there's probably 50-50 at this point, whether or not Foreman plays. Herbert looked good with Fields under center. So I think Herbert at 4,700 could be worth a look if Foreman's out. That's about it.
I'm good with that. I did not even know that Foreman was a question mark here. So if that does happen, yeah, I think K-Herb will be actually a really good play. So coming out of this, what I'm going to say is I hope Antonio Gibson is out so I can get the confident. I think Robinson Jr. is actually playable if Gibson plays, but if he's out, you get the real confident version of it where you're clicking that button.
That's a great call.
Last thought on the running back position in general. There's a lot of names I think they're in pretty good spots. Last week we had said 0 RB in the flex. On this show we talked about it. Everybody watch, you guys know this. Don't call me out later. We said don't play RB in the flex. Load up on the wide receiver, and we talked about double TE being a viable strategy in NFL Week 10, right? Later on in the week, I went as high as I think 35% tight end in the flex. Of course, that wound up being the nuts play in the Millie Maker. So feel pretty good about at least that call. Wish I had some Dak. I get it. Keep the hate coming. But we were on point up until the Dak fade. So what are you guys thinking about in terms of the flex for this week? Are we going to allow some running back? Do you feel better about the position group as a whole? And do you feel differently than last week? I'll start with you, Burns.
Yeah, I really like the running back position this week. It's a more solidified position for me. I don't have a really good stance on the tight end position to even have any tight ends in the flex this week. There's a couple of good spots, but as a whole, the tight end position just doesn't do it for me this week. But the wide receiver position, it's a flip-flop for me this week. It's 100, I'm flip-flopping 30% wide receiver, 70% running back.
Oh, wow. That is very heavy running back. BobbyWow, what do you think?
I'm sticking with, no running back in that third spot. I don't know that I'll force it this week, but there's so much value at tight end, and there's some, there's potential pay-ups at wide receiver, along with Eckler. I like paying up for Eckler. So to me, I like trying to get some of that value at tight end, and I'll have, double tight end quite a bit again this week.
Interesting. Okay. So when we get to tight end, I want to talk about some of those value plays and who they are. But let's talk a little wide receiver now. We'll go again. I'll kind of start. I'm kind of liking this little approach. I wish that if we were doing the show on Saturday evening, we'd probably have a even better, more accurate version of ownerships to display. But this is what we have for now. So looking at the high owned group, the first thing I just want to address, do you kind of see anything that stands out weird? But we got Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, and Ridley in the top 10 owned guys. Amon-Ra, of course. There's CeeDee Lamb and Reek. Terry McLizzle's in there. Marquise Brown, who didn't do much last week. Lockett and Cooper Kupp up there. Christian Watson, out of weird, right? And then so on and so forth. So anybody really stand out for you guys here as, oh, that's unusual, or somebody missing from here, or anything like that, BobbyWow?
I don't think so. I mean, honestly, it seems, somewhat spread more than we typically see. There's no real chalky wide receiver option outside of Tank Dell, which again, that one makes total sense to me. Chargers have been horrible against the pass. I think they've been the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
So I guess I get the Christian Watson thing. Terry McLaurin feels a little high for me. That's probably the one that stands out as I want to be under that guy. But otherwise, I think, seems relatively straightforward.
I feel like it's a little chase. The weird one for me is Calvin Ridley up there. He's kind of been pretty dusty, and I'm just not sure that that's a guy that you want to like have a lot of your equity into this week. But what do you think, Shark Lab?
For me, it's probably Garrett Wilson. I think he might be a little bit too owned for my liking. I'll be definitely under him on ownership.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. So let's sort of address this now from a stud, mid, dud point of view, as I like to do on the show with you guys to keep things moving along. So let's start in the stud zone. And I'm talking 9,300 Reek all the way down to there's an actual dead zone this week that's really fucking weird, and we'll address it. So I'll go 9K to 7K here in the first discussion point, and then we'll get into the dead zone and how to deal with that as well. And there is a weird kind of dead zone here at wide receiver that we'll go over. But I'll start with you this time, Burns. Take me through some of the studs that you're purposefully targeting in NFL Week 11.
Right off the bat, I'll target Tyreek Hill. Try to target him week in, week out. I mean, he produces all the time. It's not a great matchup. It's not like a super soft matchup against Las Vegas. They actually have a pretty decent pass defense. But from him, I'm going all the way down to Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is my flag plant this week at the upper level. And then down into the 7K range, I like Brandon Ayuk this week against a soft Tampa Bay defense in their secondary. So that's where I could see, that game being a potential fantasy goodness where Ayuk and Deebo Samuel get all the goodness this week.
Yeah, I feel that. How about you, BobbyWow? Up here in the pay up zone, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, big weeks last week. Going back to it, of course, you got Amon-Ra, always a good play. Where are you going?
Yeah, I like Amon-Ra a lot. I think he's my favorite play up in this range. Tyreek Hill, obviously, he's a stud every week. I'm not chasing the CeeDee Lamb thing or Diggs. Diggs is kind of, a clubhouse cancer. I'm kind of buying into that narrative where it just doesn't look good. And I think it's taken that whole team's offense down. So combine that with being against the Jets, I'm not that interested in Diggs. But for me, it's Amon-Ra, I think, is the top dog. I actually don't mind running back Devontae Adams. If you're playing a Tyreek Hill stack or Jalen Waddle stack with Tua, kind of like the bring back with Adams. 13 targets with AOC last week against the Jets. The Dolphins not quite as good against the pass. A little bit intriguing as for a pivot play. But I think those are the top guys with a little Cooper Kupp mixed in.
Targets have been there for Devontae, but the production hasn't been there. A couple of people in the comments are talking about Adam Thielen, aka apparently Adam stealing your money.
There we go.
If you wanted to make a case for Adam Thielen this week, I will make a strong case for you right now. And it's very simple. I don't love the matchup. It's the Dallas. It's not a good team to target wide receivers against. But the last 3 weeks, Frank Reich gave up play calling duties to the offensive coordinator. And the Panthers offense went from shitty to shittier, if it was even possible. Right. So Frank Reich's like, all right, enough. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it over. Right. He came back and said, I am now calling the plays. And when Frank Reich was calling the plays, Thielen wasn't stealing. He was feeling like, like giving you a lot of money. So there is a change in the play caller. I still don't like him.
No way. 7,500. My gosh.
Still don't like him. But I just want to say, there was, it's a different play caller now. But I'm still not playing him. So yeah. Now let me talk about the dead zone, and I want you guys to address this a little bit with me here. So I kind of think that this whole area of Adams really almost all the way down, especially if Collins doesn't play, I'd probably take it all the way down to Hopkins. See this whole zone here from 7,600, really 7,900 Adams. So I'll say from 8K down to 6K. It's almost a $2,000 dead zone to me. I just don't really like anybody here all that much. Now, I'll talk about some of them, but I want you guys to address and say, hey, no, I kind of like this guy or not. Right? So as I look at this zone, Mike Evans, San Francisco, I'm not into it. Ayuk rarely gets enough volume when all three guys are playing to be worth it. Puka, I prefer Kupp as well, just like Burns. Metcalf, maybe. Collins, not sure he's going to play. Godwin doesn't belong at this price. Maybe some Lockett, mild interest. Garrett Wilson, I don't really get why I'm playing a lot of Garrett Wilson other than the volume will be there. So I don't mind it, but not super excited about it. Cooper, no. Myers, really no. Hopkins, unless I'm playing Levis, I'm not doing it. What am I missing here in this zone? Is this a dead zone, BobbyWow? Or am I kind of downplaying like Nico at 6,700 too much, or Garrett Wilson? Who am I missing here? What's going on?
I think you're pretty much right on. Nico Collins was clear to play, so I'll be all over Nico Collins. Okay. I love him. I think he won't be as chalky as Tank Dell. I think he's got a higher upside when he's on the field.
Might be a better, lower owned version of Dell. Could work.
So I like him, but I think otherwise, you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. Dorian DTR. I don't know if he can deliver a pass to an NFL wide receiver and have it succeed. That's
better than Tommy DeVito. I'll say that.
If you're playing Amari Cooper, you should probably be playing DTR as well. Like those two should just go together. Burns, how about you? Are you seeing anything here that all right, so I'll allow for Nico, so less of a dead zone, but are there any other sort of plays that you want to target in this 6 to 8K range?
The only other guy would be Deebo Samuel if you're playing Purdy. They're good stacking partners. Deebo Samuel could have a really good game this week at home against the Tampa Bay defense. So he'd be a guy that I would definitely not shy away from in this zone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but mostly dead. Kind of dead. Mm-hmm. But Collins bringing it back to life a little bit. I'm less on Deebo. I did not like that volume last week, Burns. He did it. He's got to be so efficient. It's scary. He's like 4 targets, 5 rushes. If he's not scoring a touchdown on one of those, it is a lineup murder.
Yep.
I'm not into it. All right. So this is where I do think this zone here has been, I feel like this year, 5 to 6K wide receivers have been the shit. This is where you want to live at wide receiver. And so let's talk about this 5 to 6K zone, which again, this is where we're gonna set up shop. I'm gonna plant the flag. I'm gonna get down and dirty here. So BobbyWow, of this group here, Christian Kirk, Tank Dell, Terry McLaurin, the high owned, DJ Moore, no ownership.
Talk me off this. DJ Moore is $5,600. He's going to be under 5% ownership. He's going to be targeted a whole lot in this game. That to me is unfathomable. DJ Moore will be a flag plant for me at this price.
Yeah, I don't get.
Talk me off that because that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't get why he's so low owned. He is. Fields coming back. He was targeting DJ Moore so much when he was playing. Yeah, I'm with you, Bobby. And this might be my highest owned wide receiver on the slate.
A lot of love for DJ Moore. I'm about it. I think Moore is about $1,000 lower in salary than where he's supposed to be. I love a bargain. You know me. I head to the ShopRite. I don't go to the Fairway. I'm going to the ShopRite. Same apples, cheaper price. You guys aren't from New York. You don't even know those places. That's okay. That's all right.
This is a better conversation than the pasta sauce yesterday, so that's okay.
We got a lot of comments about the pasta sauce, BobbyWow. A lot of comments in that video. More comments about the pasta sauce discussion than we did about anything to do with the game. No one likes xanthan gum in their tomato sauce. No one. Everybody's like, I don't want that shit in my sauce. Yeah, I like that. I like that spot. Any other guys though in this range? Tank Dell. I think Kirk and this is a good matchup for the Jaguars. BobbyWow, like Marquise Brown or Shark Lab uses the French pronunciation Marquis Brown, but Marquise Brown is in there. What do you say?
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, I kind of like being off him when he's chalky. It feels like he's one of those guys that also fails more often than not. I mean, his price is low enough. I think the Cardinals are in a good spot. So I don't like the idea of full fading him, but I'll bet he's 15% to 20% owned by the time the
You think by Sunday? Because I like Marquise Brown. I like him. He only had 4 targets, 1 reception last week. Memorized it, but we
talked about it last week. Rondale Moore, Kyler loves Rondale Moore, and we saw it again when Kyler came back. So I don't know, a little concerning there with the ownership on Marquis the Brown.
I just want to mention that I changed a life the other day, Tyler, and you're welcome for that.
So what was this conversation? Because I wasn't privy to it.
We were just talking. I don't know. We were talking about something came up about Prego, and then it was ragu, and next thing I know, I'm like, those are horrible sauces, and it just went from there. It was really nothing that was belonging in a DFS breakdown, and yet we got there, and we're too tight on time to get into those kind of chats here.
Yeah, I just wanted the 50,000 foot level,
Yeah, no, it's just a little bit of don't buy Prego or ragu if you. Really
no kidding. Yeah, those suck.
They're terrible. So anybody else here in this zone? Who is the Prego of the 5 to 6K zone? I'm going to call it. Let's see. Who's the Prego? I'm going to say Calvin Ridley is the Prego of the zone here. Just like,
and just to clarify, the bad play, right? You don't like Prego, so
he's been so dusted.
Ragu's even worse. Maybe he's the ragu play.
Ragu and Prego are equally horrible. They're both terrible. I think Terry McLaurin at that ownership.
It's tough.
Somebody just asked, how do you know bad chalk? I wish we could. One of the commenters, and I love that there's a constant content. I love this show because we get so many live viewers for it. It's at the perfect time. Everybody's on the way home from work, or all my work from home peeps are like, boop, ended at 5. But how do you know what bad chalk is, Burns?
It's one of those difficult. It's a difficult question to answer, but if I had to really explain it, it would be like a guy that is in and around, is in a salary range where like maybe $1+ or $200 either which way, above or below his salary. You have guys that are significantly lower, but have equally the potential to explode than a guy that has like 18 to 20% ownership, especially at the wide receiver range. If you're looking at a guy that has 18 to 20% ownership, about 4K in salary, even in the 5K range, that's probably a bad chalk, unless the guy is week in and week out getting 8+ targets a week, and he's scoring touchdowns, and he's putting up a lot of yards, catching for a lot of yards. Otherwise, it is bad chalk.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description of it. A lot of times we see players that have been shitty. Like I talk about bad chalk QBs every single week. Like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, when Matt Stafford, or 5 weeks, whenever that was, when we're on the show, and I'm like, oh my God, Matt Stafford is number 2. This guy hasn't had a good game that's bad chalk, right? When you see, hey, this guy hasn't been producing, he's been shit for a long time, but why randomly the ownership is spiking because no one else looks good, or some random reason like that. Well, I feel like we do a pretty good job here on this show of pointing out, like Gino this week. Like, what, I don't know if I'm going to call it out yet with the Gino, but that's kind of a weird one. Like, he's a little higher owned than he should be, considering he's had one game all year long. We're 11 weeks in that was worthy of even ever having played in the tournament. So, like, why is he the chalk? Those are, Stafford a couple weeks ago, that was perfect. And also there have been a lot of running back bad chalk options all season long. So just pay attention. And pretty much the cheap tight end that is spiking for 30% ownership, whoever that guy is, as long as it's not Trey McBride, that's generally going to be bad chalk. So unless it's not Treasy McBreezy, he's never bad chalk. We like him every week. But let's go down here and let's continue on. through the wide receiver position. You see how I'm like rushing this because we have a hard stop, guys, at 6:15, so we got about 15 minutes left. So I'm trying to push through here. Let's talk lower cost wide receivers, sub 5K zone. You got to get a couple of these guys in your lineup in order to afford a quality lineup. So BobbyWow, take me through 3 wide receivers that you're looking at under 5K. Salary Saver is going to allow you to do whatever you want this week. I will do you a favor and sort the domination station by fantasy points per dollar to see if any one of these guys pop, and none of them are. So unfortunately, that didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's several different options down here. I'm gonna name, I'll name 3 of them. I think, for me, again, these are GPP, deep GPP plays, lower owned plays. I think one of the guys that stands out to me is Khalil Shakir. He is the offense is going to be going against the Jets, and they will be blanketing Stephon Diggs. I think, that defense is going to shut down Stephon Diggs. That is objective number 1. And Khalil Shakir, K-Shaq played 75% of the snaps last week. As long as Dawson Knox is out, K-Shaq is going to be on the field. So at 3,200, big play guy, I think he could get a couple extra looks with Diggs double covered. He's probably the most intriguing guy to me in terms of punts.
I love that call. And it is matchup based. You got South Gardner going to hopefully slow down Diggs, and they have to throw to somebody. And exactly that, Knox being out keeps Shaquille on the field. Any other ones that you like down here?
I think 2 other guys I would mention. Rondale Moore, I'm okay going back to him again. We loved him last week. Love him again this week. He's too cheap. And another diamond in the rough type guy, slightly priced more than the guys we talked about, is Jaden Reed for the Packers.
Unexpected. Okay.
He's been a guy that seems to be getting more involved again, and the Chargers are atrocious against wide receivers. Jaden Reed scores touchdowns. He's Chicago kid, and he looks really good. He's a special teams guy too. He plays a couple different big roles for the Packers team, so he's intriguing to me as well.
I like it. How about you, Burns? Anybody down here under 5K when you're needing that affordability in your lineups? I know you're looking at those Packers wide receivers as well. I kind of go in there with Christian Watson. BobbyWow mentioned Jaden Reed.
Yeah, I think I'd rather go Romeo Doubs versus Christian Watson for a little bit less in salary, or a little bit more in salary. Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, I think Romeo Doubs has a good rapport with Jordan Love. But outside the ones that Bobby mentioned in the Washington game, I could see Curtis Samuel having a decent game. He got some run last week, coming back off of injury. He got some run with Howell last week out in Seattle. So he's another guy to keep in mind there. He's a pretty good slot guy. I'd rather play him than McLaurin this week.
Yeah. I like those calls. I want to go back to what you said, BobbyWow, in terms of the cheaper wide receivers for the Cardinals. I prefer more to Michael Wilson. I don't know if you have a preference there. I feel like they're trying to make Wilson more of a thing than he kind of is, where Rondale Moore is already that with he has that connection already with Kyler. Last week, Moore got 8 targets. Wilson only 6 targets. I like them both.
I'm with you all the way. I do prefer Moore though.
Yeah, just a smidge. Noah Brown should be out, disbanded Brotherhood, so we're not gonna have to worry about him, unfortunately, because I'd like to have that going on. But yeah, I think that's a great mix of players. I'll even throw in one name that I don't think anybody's thinking about, and I'm surprised maybe that Bobby you didn't mention, but I think Darnell Mooney is playable as well. Yeah. We already like Fields a little bit, and of course Kmet and the other guy, but like Darnell Mooney out of the slot is playing the same position that Amon-Ra or was it Keenan Allen was playing last week, and that torched the Lions. Not to say that I know Keenan Allen, and Darnell Mooney is no Keenan Allen, sir. You remember that, like that line from Politics? I think it was a JFK line.
You're no Jack Kennedy.
Yeah, it was about JFK, right? So, But yeah, Darnell Mooney is no Keenan Allen, but hey, he's cheap and he's there, and why not? So I don't mind that a little bit. That's about it though. For why I was going to be on Elijah Moore just a smidge, but
yeah, I don't hate that.
Not now, not with DTR.
Oh man, I still don't hate it.
Even with no DTR. DTR, I got to see it. I need to see it. I'll play him with DTR if you like. If I need to play Bobby, am I playing DTR this week? I'm only going to do it if you tell me to.
Look,
I refuse.
If you're playing mass multi-entry,
I
you should have 7 or 8 lineups with DTR. If you're playing 150 lineups, you should have 7 or 8 with DTR. No doubt about it. And you should stack them with David and Njoku. Run 8 lineups out with DTR and Njoku. That's the way to go.
Wasn't planning on it, but now I'm going to do it. Had no plans to do it, but now I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm playing 210 lineups. I've got it all planned out.
So you need like 15 now with DTR and Njoku.
How many DTRs? I just want somebody who's DTF, but that's a whole other story.
I thought you were going to say I'm DTF with DTR. That's where I was hoping you were going to go because I didn't want to say it.
All right. Tight end position. Bobby, wow, you said double tight end is in play. It's double TE week, maybe. So take me through some of these spots that you're really into. At first, let me give the sort. Let's do the old sort. And my first thought is, yeah, this looks about right. Trey McBride, sure. Kincaid, right up there. Okay. Evan Ingram, what else? Yeah. Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet. Fryermuth's coming back this week. Whatever, okay, fine. Laporta down a little bit lower than maybe you'd like to see, but hey, I would like to see that salary adjust a little bit down after last week's dud. So, are you seeing anything that's this group seems correct to me? First of all,
yeah,
the ownership seems right. Who are the guys that you're loading up on in the? Is it McBride and Kincaid 1-2 double tap?
Man, I don't know. It's so gross playing McBride. He's getting up to 4,500, but he's been so good.
What's wrong with it? The 14 targets he got 2 weeks ago. That's
Nothing's
the problem
wrong with it. No,
that's the negative. The 11 targets he got last week. Like this guy's better than any wide receiver. If you could get a wide receiver averaging 8-9 targets a game for 4,400, you would play him in every lineup.
And that's what I'm saying. Going back to the running back conversation, I prefer having the extra tight end versus the extra running back because look at the value you have here. 4,400 Trey McBride. There's no running back you could play at 4,400. Certainly that has this type of ceiling. I think there's a couple guys like that. Evan Ingram's another guy in that price range. Cole Kmet is another guy that's shown some big time ceiling at 4,100. I just think, there's some really good value pieces here.
I have a name that is going to open up everything you want to do on the slate. You're going to be like, oh my God, I can play whoever I want now. Thank you, Geek. I'm so happy I watched the Tournament Tactics show because if it hadn't done that, I wouldn't have known about this person. Okay?
I think I know who it is.
Before I reveal it,
oh God,
give me a like, subscribe to the channel, do something for appreciation because I'm about to reveal the secret player with 2 touchdown potential this week that will help you win the Millie Maker.
Did he do it last year?
He has done 2 touchdowns in a game.
Okay, I know who it is.
It's not Tyler Conklin, right? I don't think he has 2 touchdowns in his career.
It's no Tyler Conklin.
God.
No, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm creating right now. What I'm doing is I'm creating a buildup that is going to lead to a climactic reveal. Okay. So this player, I've been waiting for the situation. I feel like all season long. And the situation that came up is Gerald Everett is out this week, elevating Don Parham Jr. to all-in status.
Whoa, geez.
Not all-in status, but only tight end on his team that's healthy status for 3K.
Wow.
Touchdown machine, Don Parham Jr., former Showdown Breakdown turd.
I like that call. I like it.
Opens it all up.
Interesting. Okay. No, that's a good one. Man.
I really thought you were going Conklin. I thought
no.
I would have shut my computer.
Conklin fucked me out of a GPP win the other night. I'm still bitter about it.
I know.
I'm
You're
still
always
bitter.
on Conks. You're always on.
I've been
Johnny
on Conklin all year, but like the dude catches a stupid pass. The last catch of the game. I'm in first place for 8 minutes of game time. I thought like I'm building up first place equity. Like that is a thing. I'm like, the longer you're in first place, the more you're probably not going to get out of it. The last play of the game, Conklin got me. No. I don't want Conklin. Don Parham.
Yeah.
I like it.
No Gerald Everett this week. I don't like this Q tag that Parham's got going on here. Hopefully they drop that. But yeah, 3,100. I like that play. Opens up some other stuff. Do I like him better than Trey McBride? No. Do I like him better but he's cheaper. So it's really just a 3K player that you could put in that's got an acceptable chance of catching a touchdown in this game. That's really what that is. Blue minds out there. Everybody's going nuts in the chat. I love it. But let's get back to the rest of it because I did that whole build-up thing. I forgot to talk about who else we like. So Burns, we all like McBride. I love Kincaid here. I don't even want to get into talking these two guys up. They're great. They're the best plays. They're the highest owned. Those are good chalk plays, in my opinion, or at least I feel that way. Burns, anybody else at tight end that you're on this week?
No, I mean, you guys already said them all.
Yeah.
If I had to add one, we didn't really talk about it's Laporta. He's always a week in and week out guy that you need to have in your player pool. He could spike in this game. So he's definitely got to be a guy that's in your player pool. So
you could torch the Bears.
I'm going to address this question. Britt, can I transfer my teams to FanDuel and DraftKings only as an iPhone and an iPad? It is not the easiest to upload lineups, not because of our system, but because if you're on an app I don't know how you can't really upload lineups to FanDuel or DraftKings using their app. You have to use their website. So yes, you can do it, but you have to open up the desktop version of DraftKings or FanDuel in order to upload lineups to it. There's just, as far as I know, when you're on the app for FanDuel, there's no place to upload or edit lineups. You have to use the desktop version. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the chat. I don't use my iPad to do that. So I don't know. And Sean, thank you for addressing this. I feel like something like that must have happened. That one of these sites was just pumping Will Levis. I don't know which one has a following like that, but I just have it hard to believe that this guy just goes to 11% out of nowhere. It must have been one of those sites that have touts pushing something. All right. We talked tight end. Let's jump over to defenses for NFL week 11. Oh, and there it is. Mateo knows the eyebrow. I love the chat. Already knows this shit. Yeah, you use the desktop on your iPad. You can upload lineups like that. And our optimizer, it creates lineups for you to upload, but we don't directly inject the lineups into FanDuel or DraftKings. That might exist, that technology. We don't have it. So with that being said, let's talk about defenses for this week. Burns, you're the defensive savant.
Yeah.
Known as that. I saw in your Millie Maker lineup that you did use the defense that you suggested here on this show was your favorite, which was, I believe, Tampa last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the defenses that went off, I think each and every one of them last week were in the article. So
we're talking that was awesome.
That was fire. So where are you looking this week? I've noticed this week that there are no one defense to rule all the others at this point, right? With the Steelers. Is that what's up?
It could be. DTR, he's a rookie. So what do we do with rookies? We attack them with our defenses, right? So knowing that he's going to be the starting quarterback, I say Pittsburgh. They're expensive. They're on the pricey side. Is that 3,500? So, you can actually go on the other side of the ball too. Cleveland's defense is another good defense this week. Again, I mean, they were really good at 3K last week. At 3,200, the Miami Dolphins. I don't know who's going to start this game. If it's Aiden O'Connell or if they're going to go right back to Garoppolo, don't know that yet.
Is this a rumor? Is there a discussion of going back to Jimmy G?
I don't know. I
haven't heard anything other than that Aiden is playing.
So if Aiden's playing, he's a rookie. Same principle applies as DTR. Dolphins are at home. It's a better environment to actually do well. So I like them this week. San Francisco at home. Tampa Bay coming in there. I just don't see Tampa Bay doing anything good in this game. I think they're going to get bum rushed against San Francisco, but those are really high salary defenses. But my top low salary defense, I have two, and one might blow your mind. But the Jets on the road against Josh Allen at 2,600. That is my top low salary defense this week. But the other one, and I don't know how this one's going to play out. So this one is a stretch, even for me. The Chicago Bears on the road against Detroit. It's a stretch, but I think and I'm not talking about them getting 10 points. If they get 6 to 8 on the defensive front, you're fine. And they're at 2,400. So, and we've seen Millie Maker wins with less points than that. So
the Jets made my first look lineup. Just because, I was fresh off of watching Monday Night Football when that was coming out, and I was like, man, these Bills just fucking hand over the football to anybody. So at 2,600, you got to play defense against them. What about you, Bobby? Wow.
I mean, Burns nailed him again. I got the only defense I would add, another punt would be the Packers. Their defenses look pretty good. They got some strong pieces. You got the Chargers traveling all the way to Green Bay. It's going to be a little chilly, a little brisk. And I just think, Herbert's, he's turned the ball over a little bit. So the Packers are an intriguing punt option too.
Scary. It's a scary play, paying down. It does feel like, for the most part, this is a week where you're going to want to pay a little bit for your defense, and you got to suck it up, pay it, and save elsewhere. So, at least we're not necessarily having to force two very, very expensive running backs, so you can afford to pay a little bit more. But yeah, I think that for me, it's the Jets. I think the Jets defense is the best of the cheap ones. And if you could get up to what's like the next best one here, probably maybe the Dolphins.
I think you're going all the way up to
it'd be like the Dolphins or getting up here into this Steelers. Browns.
I forgot one. The Commanders, Tommy DeVito is not an NFL quarterback.
He's the worst QB on the planet.
So I'm just saying you could filter them into your lineups as well. So they should be better at home. They've been on the road. They were on the road last week in Seattle. So
final thoughts, Bobby Wow, on the slate in general?
I'm excited. I mean, I like the idea of DTR and Njoku. I think that's my silly for the Millie stack. A lot of Fields, a lot of DJ Moore. DJ Moore's way too cheap. But otherwise, I feel like, we got a narrow QB pool this week. So, dial in your stacks, get 4 or 5 quarterbacks, dial in the stacks, and let's take something down.
I like it. How about you, Burns? Any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, don't be afraid to go over the field on a particular play that you believe that could actually go off. I mean, last week it was Brian Robinson Jr. for me. He ended up in a lot of my lineups, and he exploded. So, these are the types of plays that low ownership that explode. They can help you win tournaments. So
I like it. I'm actually going to just share some thoughts on what's going on next week, because it is Thanksgiving week. And so we've got some crazy slates. I love Thanksgiving week, but it also is very much a challenge for content creators like ourselves to sort of figure out how the fuck to handle it, because there are these giant slates all over the place. So scheduling is going to change a little bit this week. This show will be back as always, because it's the Friday. But for the most part, the rest of the week and the early part of the week, we will focus on that Thanksgiving slate a little bit. We'll have a sort of a Thanksgiving slate breakdown of some sort or another. Not sure how we're going to handle it exactly just yet, but look for some changes in the content next week. There's a Friday game, so there's a lot going on Thanksgiving week. for next week. In addition, I know some of you guys were talking about getting signed up at DFS Army. We want you to do it. A lot of ways to do it. If you want to just get signed up right now, VIP is the best way to go. We just launched sleeper coverage on our Proptimizer tool, which is available to DFS Army VIP. So if you play any of the props games, sleeper prize picks, that's part of the VIP package at DFS Army, $7.99, less 10%, promo code Geek. We just launched sleeper the other day. So if you don't have a sleeper account and you don't have a paid sleeper account, if you're on sleeper playing fantasy football, but you're not able to play their prop game, the best way to get a DFS Army sub for free right now is just make a deposit on sleeper, put in $100. When you use promo code DFS Army, they will double it. So you go to your sleeper app, you say, hey, I want to make a deposit, play your picks game, put in $100. They will double it. They'll give you $200 in your sleeper account to play these props, parlays. Then send us an email to support at DFS Army. Say, hey, I signed up for sleeper using code DFS Army. We will give you a free month of DFS Army VIP so you can use the prize picks and the sleeper tool, the Proptimizer tool that we have for sleeper. So in addition to the $100 that sleeper is going to give you, we're going to give you a free month of DFS Army. And the great thing is you can cancel it. You can hang out if you like what DFS Army has. You get everything covered. VIPs cover everything that we do at DFS Army, every sport, every site, props games, everything is covered in DFS Army. And you're in our Discord, all that good stuff. So that's the way I would do it. Sleeper, promo code DFS Army. You get the sleeper Proptimizer tool. It points out the best props. Those props are also, by the way, good for any sportsbook that you're on because sleepers props are identical to sportsbook props, but they're the same. But what they do that makes them cool is they'll put out 2 or 3 promotional ones with each slate, and our tool just quickly identifies those. So it's like, hey, you're going to build a parlay, use these 2 because they're freebies, and connect it with here's a spot or 2 that stands out. So it's a really fun game to play. Sorry if you're in New York, you cannot play. I know this because I'm in New York and I can't play. Yeah, I did the deposit. I thought I could play, but then I don't think I can play it. So they got rid of it here. So thank you, Corey, for the kind words. We will see you guys next week. Again, we will be back for Tournament Tactics, same time, maybe a little later, actually, because there might be an actual NFL game going on during when we normally record this. I kind of want to watch it. So maybe we'll come like right after that ends and we'll be breaking down that Sunday slate. But all our content before that will focus on Thanksgiving, the 3-game, the 4-game, all of that good stuff. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody as well. For DFS Army subscribers, I will be back tomorrow afternoon as always, doing the Players Club. We're going to build lineups for single entry type contests in the Players Club. And then Saturday evening, God willing, and by that I mean if my wife lets me, I will be doing another live stream Domination Station optimizer setup stream for the Sunday slate. So we've got a lot going on. We never rest here. I don't get much sleep. You know how we do it. Good luck this week, everybody.